Hi, I'm CJ Sorensen, and I've started a new program called CJ's Chat Box. The reason being, I would like to know some of the people here in the village at a deeper, more personal level. Many of the people here have got such interesting lives and experiences to share, and I think they should be shared with the people here that live in the village. So, welcome. Maybe you're one of those people. If so, give me a call. Maybe you'll be my next guest on CJ's Chat Box. Welcome to CJ's Chat Box. My guest today is a very wonderful lady that's very artistic. Her name is Lara Waller. I met her at Billiards Club at Clubhouse 3, and I can't wait till we get that back open. But I met her at billiards, but I didn't know how good she was at it. So come and look and see what. Because this lady, she focuses on what she does, and she masters it. She literally masters whatever she touches, and you're going to see more of that. Her husband and her daughter, and that's a picture also of her husband that she sketched because she is so talented.
Moved 2010.
2010? Yeah. Okay. And then you found out that they had
Actually,
classes.
2011, 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I did not know what to do in this community. So first, when I came to billiard room, I met people, my first friends, and CJ among them. And after that, people said, you know what, we have here classes from Emeritus Institute. I went to that place, but classes was full. And when I opened door to ceramic room, it was supervisor, Carol. And she said, you know what, you don't need wait until classes open. I can show you method, how we work.
Uh-huh.
And this start my first knowing how work slip casting ceramic. I like Greek mythology. This I start first. These first pieces, what I painted here in my room. When I painted with brush, first collection of this painting, we make exhibition Timeless Beauty. It's come from Greek mythology to Art Deco. So in these pieces you can see like image of the Art Deco period. Tell you, I graduated in Moscow from Russian State Academy of Technology, Art and Design. And all kind of art, they come together. They start from art history, but you have to know technology, how to make. It does not matter what you work with, fabric, with ceramic, with glass, with enamel, copper. It's everything show idea, what is a beauty of the art.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what the
does not matter what
mode,
material you use. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people ask me, how you find idea? I don't find. You know what? Because art around us. We go to museum, you read books, you watch movie, but you have to concentrate period of the art. What is the most important in this period was?
Mm-hmm. Which the next thing you started was
glass.
Jewelry.
So I came to the class fusible glass. What does mean fusible glass? It's not glass what you can see through. It's different kind.
Okay.
So this glass by the high temperature can be fused, can be glued to different kind of surface under.
Okay.
You see pieces of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very famous Klimt.
Oh yes.
Gustav Klimt.
Gustav Klimt.
I painted this first paint, make copy from Gustav Klimt, and this also.
Yes, the kiss.
But when I saw how
Made sketches as a fashion designer in
as a
LA, right?
right, you know, when I was graduate in my institute in Moscow, but in Los Angeles, I decided I was already like 70 years old, and I decided to go to college, um, Trade Technical College in Los Angeles and Los Angeles City College. I took two colleges to make kind of refresh of my skill in art and fashion.
Okay.
So we talked with principal of these two colleges, and he said, you know what, this is your major. And I finished in my major, like I took a little bit more than 20 units. To graduate from the college, I need to add chemistry, mathematician, you know, I don't need this. So I just finish all this. And in college, yes, I start again, come back to my profession, you know, like to make pattern.
Yes, making the pattern, getting the fabric, doing all those.
To make sketches, to explain how to sewing, because you have to be, you know, like
You have to be
confident how to explain how to sewing.
But you went back to school to renew your art at 70?
You know, my teacher said, you are late blooming.
And you did 20 units?
Yeah. Around was kids like 20, 21 years old. And they asked me, are you professional teacher?
No, I'm your student.
I'm student.
Oh my, that is
No,
just
this was,
wonderful.
yeah.
That is just, it just doesn't stop. As I said, everything you touch is artistic. And the picture of you up there, I know that you were named Lara before Dr. Zhivago.
When I came to Los Angeles, where, you know, like...
Like, really, what I find interesting, which we will get into a little bit more about since you mentioned about your job in LA, is when you came from, when you immigrated from Russia, which was a trip in itself, you had to, you know, go through certain countries in order to even get here. You had spent 3 months in Rome before you were allowed to come here. And then you were with your husband and your son and daughter. And you get here, and you came because your niece lived here, and her husband, and he was a sculptor, and he couldn't express his art in Russia, so they moved here, and they were living in Santa Monica. So they said, we will sign for you to come. So
a company named Judy Tutik, and they have a division of Diana van Furtenberg, Pierre Cardin, and he put me in different division to check what I can do. And my work amazed him because I work very fast and very accurate and finish. If, you know, in the way, you know, how American pattern maker work it, they make draping, they look from this side, from that side, it take week. I finish in 1 day.
He had never seen anything like that, I'm sure.
Never saw.
Wow. Yeah, well, the other thing that astounded me, because you did get that job from that owner who was very impressed, and so when you went home, you realized that you had to take 3 buses to get to work in the morning at 9 a.m. You don't speak English. You have to catch buses. I wouldn't get on a bus today to know where I'd end up. Little differences. I remember you telling me that after you graduated from the Russian State University in Moscow, that you got a job at a factory there that did all the uniforms, school uniforms in Russia, and that you worked hard at 10 years, and because you have that in you to apply yourself and focus and work hard, that you worked very hard for 10 years, but within the 10-year period, you had moved yourself up to the 3rd in line at the company.
Yeah, I was head of designer. It was first president of, this was big, it became like a corporation.
Okay.
Corporation. Mm-hmm. It was including 11 factories.
11 factories.
Right. It was 10,000 workers. and head of this corporation was director, first president, then head of engineer, and I was third head of designer group.
And you were head over 11 factories,
Yeah.
10,000 workers,
Right.
and you said that that's when you turned gray overnight.
I was in that time 32 years old.
32.
32 years old. You know, all this responsibility
Yes.
for everything. If something stopped, this is my fault.
Mm-hmm.
You
You had to make
I
it.
am not ready. So it was absolutely interesting and difficult.
Yes.
This is all my life. Interesting, but not so easy.
Right, right. But you have again the fabric to get through it. You are so strong, and I see more of that all the time. And the fact that then you worked there 10 years, and that's when the immigration started, or you wanted to get out of.
But by the nature, I'm very shiny person. I remember I have to make fashion show in huge conference room. It was 1,000 people. I lost, speech because I was so worried. But I told you have to.
Yeah, yeah.
And
you step forward.
Yeah.
So after moving, then immigrating, and then after you'd been here a short time and working in LA as a fashion designer, your husband decided to move back to Moscow. He didn't want to stay here in America.
He not moved to Moscow. He moved to New York. But
Oh, he moved to New York. Okay.
We separate.
Okay.
We separate after first year as we came to Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
I left live with me my son and daughter.
Okay.
My son was at that time 19 years old,
Okay.
and daughter 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
And mother alone with 2 children, I have to survive.
Yes.
I have to make future for them.
Yeah.
And this start my life in Los Angeles. And I was probably born by very lucky star, I think.
Mm.
And in 1 year later, I met wonderful man. His name was Igor Edelman.
Mm-hmm.
He was artist. He came from Moscow, the same city. He was older, 5 years older. But we have so much in common, we both live interesting life in Moscow. We could not start survive in new city, Los Angeles. But in that time, I have work, I have job.
Mm-hmm.
So on the first step, I kind of save family and start to help him. But pretty soon, he became just absolutely amazing artist in Los Angeles. How it's come? He started from painting restoration, and after a few years, before he met me, he worked with painting restoration. But when we start to live together, some collectors brought not painting but poster.
That's our next chapter. We're going to move over here now, because that is when you met Igor, and he was an artist, as you were very much an artist, but between the two of you, you saw a niche there. There were posters, wonderful posters from Hollywood that had totally, they needed to be restored.
It was absolutely unknown world.
Yeah.
I knew about Hollywood, a few movies show in Russia in that time, like Tarzan or Sun Valley Serenade, but I was absolutely not familiar with production of Hollywood, and this was unknown world what opened for me, and where I work for 20 years to be manager of the poster restoration studio. And this was absolutely amazing part of my life.
Yeah. And you opened a studio on Beverly Boulevard, you said.
Beverly Boulevard.
And you guys lived in Hancock Park. But let's go look at some of these, the poster restorations that you worked very closely with Igor. And here's one poster perfect from Americana Magazine, where you see a picture of Igor doing this. And also, there was one done in a French magazine, and what it shows there is kind of the process of how you work and how you do that, the procedure. And then there's also, of course, some of the before and afters, which I found absolutely astounding as to what they came in like and what you ended up doing. I mean, look at this. Look at the Laurel and Hardy. I mean, this was what it came in and how it ended up. I mean, then it's not work anymore.
It's come from the love. You have to love what you're doing.
Yes.
My daughter, I brought her when she was 7 years old, and she did not go to Russian school. She is American girl.
Yeah.
So she can speak, but she cannot read. And she asked me sometimes.
And you got it all in Russian. She's going to have to learn Russian. She'll have to go back to school.
And my granddaughter, she said, don't speak Russian. She was born here, 10 years old.
Oh, you never want to lose your original. But here's, again, she's got it all in Russian, but pictures.
American fairy tale.
Yes. Your whole life here. And there's your studio again.
This is my studio.
Oh. And that's in 98.
So this is my son in that time when we came.
Mm-hmm.
This was I very young, my daughter.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's before you turned gray, I take it.
I colored.
Oh, you colored it then, huh?
Yeah, it was interesting, like memory of Casablanca.
Oh, yes.
50 years. So we went up, it is in downtown restaurant, like actor, like
Humphrey Bogart, yeah.
Bogart, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
One of the things before I don't get to it is that I know that one of the things that really impressed me about the fact that when you had to leave, what you said, it was USSR then in 38 when you were there, and that what is now Ukraine is where you guys lived.
When I was born.
Yes.
I was born in Ukraine, but I never come back after war.
Right.
It was absolutely disaster from the beginning. I was not 3 years, not exactly when start World War II.
Yeah.
And the city where I was born was bombing in the first days of the war, and people struggle and left everything what they have and try to survive. Maybe one of the 10 people was survived. The other was killed, burned, sent to the Germany for the camp. It was just miracle that I was survived.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you said that your father was already on the front fighting.
Right.
So your mom and your grandfather and your sister, who was 14
years old,
and you were like 3, that you ran for your lives to the train. That was the only way to get out of town. And the fact that you had to, like, every village you'd stop and the people would kind of give you whatever they had, grapes or...
Like dry fruit or something, little.
Yeah.
How we survive today, 75 years after, I cannot understand how we survive.
When we start talking about how, how slowly and time passed, and that you ended up some places where you get off the train and there would be no place to stay, and you'd ask the people.
We was in the barn.
And you stayed in a barn?
House.
Yeah.
And my sister became very sick because she was bitten by insects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was miracle that she survived. It was miracle that I did not die in that place.
Mm-hmm. But she went to the hospital, and while she was gone, your first teacher. Tell me about your first teacher.
I left only with my grandfather, who was in that time, for me, he was 100 years old, probably he was 60. He has only one eye. And probably, I think now he lost his glasses. He could not see. And he started to teach me to read newspapers. Like news from newspaper. I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I already start to read. So this was my first teacher in literature. and he when he, when he ran from house, he took with him like cards,
Playing cards.
playing cards.
Yeah.
So when we was together with my grandfather, and he teach me how to play cards, and I have to count. How so it was my first teacher in math.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But I was out of school. If today kids only 1 year
Yeah.
out of school, I was probably 10 years after out.
Well, when you said that, again, I just visualize you moving on all the time because you have no place to stop and stay.
Yeah.
And your mom, who had brought with her, she'd heard someplace that if you have a bar of soap, somebody will trade it for milk.
For milk.
So she had brought that, how she got that and ran with when you were escaping. But when she went to try to use that at a market, she was arrested by the Russian police
Right.
and sent to the gulag. And that's why you ended up with your sister
Right.
and grandfather.
Right.
So as time went on, and then you ended up in Uzbekistan, and where your dad you finally got in touch with him, and he got his
How
wife.
he found us, I don't know. This I don't
Yeah,
know.
but you were there for a while, and what I found interesting is while you're in Uzbekistan, you end up with a circus.
Right.
Circus with horses,
Right.
famous horses, Zaripova. Is it?
Zaripov.
Yeah.
Karim Zaripov, right.
And then, and like that's back when you're in sixth grade, so what, 12 years old or whatever. And then recently, like a few years ago, that same guy, Circus, with his kids,
Came to Orange
was
County.
that big tent on the side of the freeway. That was the same Zaripova.
They know him.
Yeah,
Because,
but it's generation of family.
Generation. This
I mean,
was my interesting memory. I just, like focus how life can be so different. You just come down to the death, and suddenly you go back to the sun.
yeah.
I don't know.
And when you did finally get to Moscow, because your grandfather left first, and then you could follow. When you got to Moscow and you entered school, first time you'd ever been to school, and you're in sixth grade and you know nothing.
Nothing.
So your dad gets you a tutor, and within 3 years you graduate 10th grade with a gold medal. You don't even have to take a test to get into college.
Right.
And you said the reason was I was so hungry for knowledge.
It's true.
Oh, I mean, you were absorbing everything you learned
Right.
like a sponge.
You know what I remember? It was wonderful teachers in Moscow, and they saw me, who did not know nothing,
Yeah.
But I want to learn, and I started. My best place was libraries.
Ah,
From the library, I think in that time I read more books compared to American, students. They did not know so much like we know in Russia. We learn Mark Twain, Jack London, Theodore Dreiser, Fenimore Cooper. It was so interesting. We understand new word from the book.
yes.
From the book.
The best source. I remember you saying too that when you were working after you graduated, or maybe it was even during college, but that you said there was such propaganda because you'd see TV or pictures of Americans wearing jeans with big holes in them and everything, and you'd say like, "Well, I thought they were rich over there. Why are they wearing holes in there?" Which was the fad then, of course.
So poor, they cannot money to buy new pants.
Feeling so sorry for them, not realizing that.
To
So
say true, when I came to United States and my first place was Santa Monica, I just fell in love with this, land.
yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
and there's
And
not a
people
prettier
was-
place than there.
People were so friendly. They opened, like hand and welcome.
Oh, yeah. That is wonderful because, again, some people have issues with people that don't know the language and have an accent, and they don't want to reach out and help them over that stumbling block, which you never had that issue. It appears that almost but again, I think that your willingness to learn whatever it is. You said when you went to work on that factory, when you first started there, you learned the bottom up again. You learn how to draw patterns, how to cut the fabric, how to sew, so that you knew everything that later on you would be overseeing people that did that, and you weren't asking them to do something that you didn't know how to do.
You have to learn from the beginning.
Yeah.
You cannot, just come and you want to have position. No. You have to be very confidential what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It start from technology. How?
Yeah. And I think that's a whole different way of learning about learning it from the technology of it, how to do that. That is really an important part of it, that so many people, they skip right over to the beauty of art and doing that without knowing the lines. I know I took I am so thankful that we got to come and visit you today. I love going on location so that we can see all of the wonderful things you've done, but also, again, to hear your story, because it's just one revelation after another. And then to have those 20 years with your husband restoring all those posters. I mean, all of Hollywood is thankful for that, I'm sure. And some of them are aware of it, and then when you run into these young people and are able to tell them, guess what? We did that. So again, thank you so much, Lara. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
And, in this time, what we're going through with pandemic, it's very important to meet people, to have conversation.
Yes.
We're still alive, and we still, look for future.
Yes.
It's coming.
And you've found a way to keep your idle hands are never idle, because you're always making something creative.
Something I try.
Yes. Thank you again, my dear.
Thank you.